Good morning, tubers, family and friends. Just sitting here poolside. This is Edward at the Golden Palace swimming pool and tower in northwestern Mindanao. Just sitting poolside with my 22-year-old son, John. He'll be 23 in April. And we're just enjoying a little bit of sunshine we got this morning. It's very beautiful. And this is actually the first time I've brought my iPad out to take a video, and it's harder to handle unless I get some kind of a tripod or something. It's a lot less convenient, obviously, than my phone, which up until now I've always taken video with my phone. So I'm not sure how the sound's going to come on this or anything at this point. This is kind of a test. But I figured I should probably start giving a little better content video-wise. Mostly cloudy again this morning, though. It's pretty typical this time of year, and rainy season. But this is honestly, I've been here off and on for 3 years at the beginning of my time in the Philippines, and then it's been 5 years solid, over 5 years solid in the Philippines. And this year by far has been the best rainy season I've ever seen. As far as the least amount of rain, I don't know if it's El Nino or what it is, but it's just beautiful. I mean, it's mostly cloudy, but I'm still see blue skies, and I get a lot of sunlight still, compared to usual where it's 90% overcast and rain, steady rain for days and days and days and weeks. So this here is a avocado tree. I mean, that bugger's really just exploded this last 6 or 8 months. It used to be very small. Everything grows so well here. It's just unbelievable. We had a blackout last night about 2 a.m. So my solar power inverters are just now coming back online here in the last 20 minutes. But it's not too bad at night, because we have battery fans and they take over for 2-3 hours. But the power never came on till like 8 a.m. So a little after 8 a.m. actually. So it was a good 6 hours of blackout, which ain't that bad. When you're sleeping, it's okay. It doesn't matter. So yeah, let's kind of talk about what's going on in the world today. If I can turn this puppy around without turning it off. Like I say, I need to set it up a little better. But yeah, looks like the Super Bowl with the B-A-A-L, it should be Super B-A-A-L instead of B-O-W-L, because the B-A-A-L worshipers are the ones that put that whole thing on with their Masonic Swift witch, because that's what she is. Lures the people to evil. I mean, you can see she makes hundreds of millions and into the billions, literally, from all these satanic deals that she's made for concerts and music throughout the world. And she has 13 written in ink all over her hands, and all her fans, got 13 all over their hands. I mean, talk about the Pied Piper, right? Leading all the people into the bowels of hell. That's exactly what she does. And now, since the ritual has gone through, their big super BAAL ritual that just occurred Sunday night in Las Vegas, the Sin City, in the stadium that they call the Death Star. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this stuff is just off the scales of craziness. And it even says in Jeremiah 51:7 that the evil Babylon, which is the U.S., will the fornication from her spread to all the nations of the earth. Shall get drunk on the Babylon's wine to the point that they go mad, literally. And that's what you're seeing all around the world. You're seeing these countries absolutely going mad. The leaders of these countries, right? And what they're doing, they're totally putting rules with the green energy and stopping farmers from being able to even grow their crops. I mean, they're in people's faces, basically telling them, we want to decimate the population of the world down to a couple million instead of a few billion. I mean, look at what they're doing. I mean, it's pretty evident. And now we're on the brink of nuclear Armageddon right now. I mean, literally, right? It won't happen now because there's still prophecies to be fulfilled, but we're on the edge. We're on the edge of the 7-year tribulation period. There ain't no doubt in my mind. And it could have even started. Some of the seals could have already been opened. A lot of the prophecy interpreters that I trust have already said 2, 3, 4 of the seals have already been opened. Well, you know, only God knows for sure about that. You know, all you can do is be a watchman like the Bible commands. Get your life right with Jesus Christ and do what he commands. Revelations 18:4, and that's why I'm here in the Philippines, right? God told me 10 years ago, get out. And that's what Revelations 18:4 says. It says, go out from her, get out of it. Go away from where the destruction will happen. So that's why I sold everything I had and everything I earned in my entire life and sold it or gave it away, and then moved to the Philippines, and then married my third wife, Filipina, and had a Filipino child with her. And now I live out in the province, and every day we're trying to get more and more self-sufficient, and trying to pay attention to what God's word is. And trying to become closer to God. The closer to the land that you are, the closer to God that you become. The less money you have, the closer to God that you become. That's just a fact. So if you have lots and lots of money, spend it as fast as you can, or get rid of it, or give it away, because that's not what's going to get you into heaven. What's going to get you to heaven is pray without ceasing and obey the laws that God set down in the 10 Commandments and the teachings of Jesus Christ. That's your only hope for the future and your future of your family. Even if, you know, if even though they've rejected or don't believe, you go forth and heed God's word and have a fear. You should be a God-fearing Christian. I mean, God-fearing people are almost gone these days. They don't fear God because they don't even believe in God anymore. And the worse the sin and the corruption and the cult worshiping and all that gets, the faster and faster we go to the point of no return, where God's wrath and judgment is going to come. And that's just where we're at right now. It's a bright future for Christians, but if you reject Christ, you're pretty much doomed, period. If you profess with your mouth that you accept Jesus Christ, which I did when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and after I accepted Christ, I still went on the rocky road and rocky path throughout my life, on and off, right? And never became super close with Jesus Christ, which was a total failure on my part. But he's always blessed me when I've always repented and come back to him. He always would answer my prayer and bless me. And sure, I had to pay the consequences of sin, and I've had to do that several times in my life. But that's normal. That's what happens when you become a Christian. There's the battle between good and evil in your spirit and in your soul. That battle is every single day. You have to fight the good fight against, principalities and evil spirits, because they are abound. They will attack you, especially those closest to you will be the hardest part. And a lot of you, I'm sure, already know that family, friends, co-workers, a lot of people just shut their mouths and don't cause waves. And but you know what? Every time we get an opportunity as Christians, we should always be speaking the words of the Lord and try to refrain from the ways of the world. It's just the way it is, because that's why we're here on this earth. You ever ask yourself? I remember asking myself shortly after I was saved, when I was a kid, a year or two after, I'd look in the mirror and say, why am I here? How is this realm even relevant of my birth, my life, my soul? How does it all work, and what should I be doing? And I knew in my heart and in my spirit that it had something to do with God. And there was no doubt in my mind of that. You can feel it. If you have any kind of a brain that asks, a curiosity that asks, why am I here? Why was I created? Do I have a creator? All those questions that people don't even think about anymore. And in my research and searching throughout my whole life and learning, there's by far what I've been shown is that this place of earth is a testing grounds. Plain and simple. Oh, there's the fishermen, or they're selling the fish, right? That's what they do in the Philippines, loudspeaker. They used to do that in the U.S. in the early days, loudspeaker throughout the entire city, the town, and then they made laws against it eventually. And this is what I mean about the Philippines. It's like 50 to 100 years in the past of what the U.S. used to be. Thank God for that. Because if, don't get me wrong, there's sin everywhere in the world. And there's wrongdoing everywhere in the world, because we're humans, right? But the whole society still has a strong faith. And love for family, and they're not distracted so much by Satan. Why? Because they're close to the earth. That's why you need to get out in the province and not the city. You can get close to the land that God gave us. Till the land, grow fruit trees and vegetables, and raise chickens and cows. That's one thing. They have herds of cows here now in central Mindanao. There's a couple ranches that have the offsprings of the Wagyu beef from Japan. And oh, I so want to have a small herd of those here so I can raise them, for not only for our own use, but to also sell some of it every once in a while, right? And it's just a matter of logistics and time and money. If once my second pension starts, when I turn 62, I'm only 60 years old right now. I spent my first pension moving here to the Philippines, and then buying all the 10 hectares of land we have and building everything, right? Now I'm just on a small remittance until my second pension, which is Social Security, if the government's still standing in the U.S. to even draw Social Security by that time in 2 years. But only God knows. And if it doesn't happen, that's fine. I'll find another way, because you know what? I have no fear, because I have Christ in my heart. There is no fear. I mean, He's going to care for us. He cares for the birds. He cares for the animals of the jungle. And, do they have a bank account? Are they worried about where their next meal is coming from? No, they are not. Why? Because they know that God's going to care for them, because there's eventually going to be food. And that's what the humans have gotten so far away from God because they depend on all this evil construct of the world, insurance, and their health. They depend on what doctors tell them and what doctors say you should have put into your body, either through pills or through other means that has to do with a needle in your butt or in your arm. This is all satanic. There ain't no doubt in my mind about that. It's all satanic. God has a plan for your life, every single person on this planet, and His plan is you have a job to do for Him. His will, right? Not your will, His will. And if you are complete with what God has for your life, then that's the time you're going to die. If you don't have any plan, or if your task is done with what God's plan is for you, then He'll take you home. That's the ultimate wonderful thing about Christians anyways, is that we're only here to suffer of the world and do God's bidding, and then we go home. This isn't our home on this earth. This is the testing grounds, right? We're going to go home to be with Christ Jesus, and the whole other realm of possibilities of heavenly bodies flying through the cosmos, going to who knows where or to do what, who knows, but it's the adventure of absolute lifetime after this life. And there's no doubt in my mind about that. Our consciousness and our soul will be serving our Creator, which makes us feel wonderful. Just like when you're a child and you're doing something for your father or your mother, it makes you feel very wonderful inside, right? Because you love them and want to do something for them. Or when you're, picking up your crying child and comforting your child, that wonderful feeling of being a father. or mother is in your heart, and it's just overwhelming, right? And that's what life is about. That's the true parts of life. It's not anything about money. Nothing. Zero. And people get all wrapped up in, oh, I need insurance to protect me. Oh, I got to have insurance. If I don't have insurance, something could happen, blah, blah, blah. Insurance is a scam. Insurance is another thing from the world and Satan, because it puts your dependence away from God and Jesus. I mean, it's so easy to see. Come on, guys, we've been so brainwashed thinking, oh, you got to have insurance. Oh, insurance is so important, blah, blah, blah. Most people would say that about medical insurance, but then they have every insurance under the sun. Who's getting rich from all these insurances? These satanic bankers and insurance people? I mean, it's a scam. All these scumbags are involved with banking and insurance. They're scum. They know it's a scam. And it is. It's a big Ponzi scheme, just like everything else in this earth that created by man. It's to fleece the people and get their attention and their wealth away from God and themselves and give it to Satan and all the satanic stuff that they do with that money. And that goes to everything. That's everything that's involved with all these fees and licenses and requirements and taxes and you name it. It goes on and on and on of the evil scams and ways that evil men take your wealth that God has given you away from you. So you can't even raise your family anymore. You can't do nothing. You don't really even own your land anymore. Unless it's allodial title, which good luck, because that's like 1% of the world now. Just the super rich have allodial title to their land. Allodial title is, it can never have a lien on it and never can be taxed. That's allodial title. And that used to be very prevalent for years. And now it's just a fake piece of paper that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it means that you have to pay a tax to some scammer. I mean, that's exactly what it means. And another thing too, it's super controversial. Well, what isn't controversial nowadays, right? But, throughout my life, every time you get your paycheck, when you look at your paycheck, look at how much of it's gone before you even get your money that you've worked your hard labor for. What is it, a third, a quarter of it's gone? Maybe even close to a half, depending on how much money you make. All that's gone even before you can get your hands on it from automatic withholding. It should be called automatic scam, because it is. It's a complete, total, and illegal scam against the people, because the Constitution is very clear in the opening articles that your labor cannot ever be taxed unless you meet the criteria of what the Constitution says, which is, you need to really research it and look at it yourself. But there's 2 or 3 criteria that it's apportionate to the population of your state, and it has to be past Congress, and then your state has to collect a one-time fee from all the people equally. I mean, it's very laid out the way it should be in the Constitution, right? But everybody thinks now that, they passed the 16th Amendment and says that all that you make from income goes to the U.S. or goes to the government. That's all a lie. When that 16th Amendment was passed, there was 3 or 4 different cases that went before the Supreme Court about taxation, about income tax, about taxation on earnings, right? And it was very clear from the Chief Justices of the Supreme Court. They said that this income tax changes nothing to what the previous laws of taxation was against earnings. It changed nothing to the people. Nothing. You need to do your research and look at it, because the only thing the income tax does is tax federal workers and residents of territories and contractors to the federal government. That's right. That's the truth. And there's an out for people that have been scammed into the system. And whenever you started filling out your 1040s, that does not concern you. That's for federal workers, federal contractors, and residents of territories of the United States, and foreign nationals in the government and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with residents of the 50 states. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we've been scammed by the corporations and the government in bed and these politicians to start all this automatic withholding, which is completely illegal. It's a criminal act that they are taking money from your earnings. It's an absolute criminal act. So this is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. But who's going to get away from it? And you can't get away from it once you've started paying into it, except for one thing that was in the congressional record that they allowed after they passed the 16th Amendment, and those that are been caught in the system and not knowing that they're not supposed to pay it's not required that they pay the tax, right? And it's called what the heck? I can't think of it right now. It's something election. I filed it several years ago, about 10 years ago. It's not reconciliation of election. It's something like that. Something like, I'll think of it later, but put in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. Very few people do know because they haven't done their research. I can't think of it, man. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, it's something election, reconciliation of election or something like that. What it is, it provides you a way out. It's like an affidavit. You just explain in an affidavit, notarized and witnessed, and you fill out an affidavit. And an affidavit is just a statement of truth, right? And that you're following congressional record that says that you've been wrongly paying and you don't need to pay any longer. And if the only way you would ever need to pay in the future is if you started to become a federal employee or a federal contractor or a resident of a U.S. territory. So that is the law, ladies and gentlemen. They would have to repeal the Constitution if the 16th Amendment had actually changed the way they can tax labor. They would have had to repeal the first articles of taxation, and they never did. So it doesn't change anything. If you look at law, case law, in order to change something, you have to repeal it. You can't just add to it. You have to repeal what the law was previous in order to change the law. And that was never done. So that's one thing. You just got to do your own research and go from there. But anyways, that's huge, right? That's huge. And in your soul, you know it's wrong. Yeah, there's all kinds of people say, oh, that's my patriotic duty, blah, blah, blah. No, your patriotic duty is do what the Constitution of the United States says to you and follow that law. Don't follow how evil and corrupt the federal government has become. That's not what you follow. You follow your God, and then you follow the written law, which is your Constitution. And there's so many evil laws now. You guys, and all these requirements that you have to have insurance in the U.S. to drive a car or to do anything. I mean, all of that's illegal. It's an illegal scam. In the Philippines, there is no such requirements. Zero requirements of insurance. That's why another reason I'm here. The main reason I'm here, of course, is that divorce is illegal, and your whole household and everything that you've ever worked for can never be at risk here. And I do own land as a foreigner. As long as you have a marriage contract, my name is on all my land deeds or titles. And the law in the Philippines is a land title is not required. Just a deed of sale. That's the law in the Philippines. Some people choose to get a title, but sometimes it's so complicated with mother title and all this other stuff. It's just tough. It's tough to get through. It takes sometimes years. But try to get a title if you can. But one thing in the Philippines, they require tax, right? It's a very tiny amount, but still, you don't own it if you have to pay a tax on it. That's just common sense, right? So the way the Western system is right now anyways, it's not, I keep hearing people always saying in the US and everywhere in the West, or everyone that's under a Western type system, oh, that's my taxpayer money that they're wasting, or that they're buying this that I don't want them to do. That's taxpayer money this, it's taxpayer money that. No. It's not taxpayer money this or that. They have a free pass to print as much money as they want. There is nothing in the current financial system of the West and all the central banks. There's no requirement. They just, if they want money, they print it, and they don't even have to print the paper anymore. It just all goes to digital. Which, speaking of, there's bank runs going on right now, and massive riots from farmers all over the world, and the dollar bills that's out there are being hoarded. Currency bills are being hoarded because everybody knows something's coming bad. Plus, the central banks are taking the bills away. And so money is becoming very, very scarce, and banks are limiting cash withdrawals. And it's just a matter of time when it's going to be a collapse, and then they're going to go to a complete digital system. There won't be any paper money left. They'll give you 60 days, 90 days or something to get rid of your paper bills to the local banks to deposit into an account, or something like that, right? And then there won't be no more paper bills, and then they got you by the balls. Then you won't be able to buy or sell or anything until they know exactly what you're doing, what you're transferring your money to out of your bank account, or a credit card or a debit card or anything. They know every single transaction that you're making, and that day's coming. And it's probably coming a lot sooner than people think. So what's the alternative? You have lots of things that you can barter with. Gold and silver coins is a huge one, especially in the East here, where we are in the Philippines. Everything of wealth is gathered in gold. Silver, not so much, but silver will be reinstituted as a monetary metal very soon in a lot of places, because people won't be able to afford the gold. Once the system collapses, right, the price of gold and silver will go through the roof, and people won't be able to afford, most people won't be able to afford gold, so the demand for silver money will go through the roof too. And a lot of people won't even be able to afford silver. They'll just be on a bartering system until the new financial completely digital system comes out, which that's coming. I mean, it's everywhere. It's in the news, it's from the central banks, from the governments, all over the internet. I mean, the CDBCs, central bank digital currencies, they're coming. It's almost almost guaranteed at this point. So, and then they will be able to track everything, right? You won't be able to buy a gun, or you won't be able to buy food unless they give you an allotment. I mean, at the beginning, it might be unrestricted, but it'll get restricted pretty quick. They just want to get everybody into the new system, and then once they do, then they'll start changing it, right? Because of some crisis or some security crisis or something. I mean, they always make an excuse. The evil ones at the top, controlling the top positions of power in the world. That's they. I hope you guys have, at this point, have watched that movie, They Live. Awesome movie. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you guys go. Great morning talk. I'm kind of repetitive on a lot of stuff because it's just so important, guys, of what's going on in the world. And really, that's why I call my channel "A Foreigner Escapes to the Philippines," because this is literally the only place left on earth that you can survive with your family uninterrupted by everyone in your face and in your pocket. I mean, get out into the rural areas and you're going to be fine. And there you'll have no threats against you whatsoever of anything, from your marriage, because divorce is illegal, to the government. They're very, very docile compared to the police type state that are in these first world countries. You know, the police are in your face no matter whatever you're doing. In the Philippines, okay, I have no insurance. I drive down the road, I have nothing. I just have my personal mode of transportation, and there is no requirements of anything. So you're not, you know, there's checkpoints every once in a while, but they're just looking for terrorists and stuff like that. I mean, they don't care about your status of anything. You just give them respect, and they'll give you respect back, just like it should be. But the checkpoints are very, very low. Maybe once every 3 months I'll get pulled over from a checkpoint. But there's no police on the road that do any kind of traffic stops. That doesn't happen. At least that doesn't happen to me. I've never been pulled over on the road by any type of police. And there's only one police in the Philippines, the PNP, which is Philippines National Police. And they don't pull you over. There's no traffic, nothing. They just do checkpoints sometimes, right? And you know, going in and out of major cities, there's checkpoints, and you know, the majority of the time they just wave you through. So it's very, very easy. I mean, I could tell you some stuff that blow your mind. And if you guys really want to know the ins and outs of this country, I will absolutely, if you want to meet, come to my place here for a day or two and just chat. I can give you guys information that'll just blow your minds of what I do here and what I've done in the U.S. And I'm absolutely happy to share all that with you. So for now, I'll let you guys go, and that's it for this video. Hopefully this iPad video works out better for your guys' content as far as the camera goes. So take care. Love you guys. Bye-bye.